Inside the mind of a hulking mind-controlled lungfish is a city. He's crawling with lungfish. They go about their day-to-day lives with no trouble. And this level, you are pretty much Godzilla, or as people refer to you as, Goggalore. Basically, the theme of this area is your classic, monster movie scenario, where the city is really small compared to you. Buildings can easily crumble when you're near them, and the largest of buildings are just places where you can climb. Pretty much upon arrival to this place, you meet up with the Resistance, who unlike most of Lungfishopolis, are not under the influence of Kochamara Tower and are hoping to take it down. Luckily for them, you have the exact same goal, so they're willing to help you as long as you comply with their goals, which are, just breaking their comrades out of prison, which really isn't too hard. I mean, the first prison, all you have to do is punch it once. Also, the power you get here is pretty useful, the shield, which as its name implies, shields you. It creates an impenetrable force field around you that protects you from any and all attacks and even reflects some attacks. But it'll only stay up for a few seconds. But then again, if you could keep it the whole time, it would be pretty cheap. Also, throughout the level, news reports will come in, and whenever they do, it'll be about how Goggalore is terrorizing the town. And they'll send their defenses after you, and believe me, despite the fact that they're tiny, they are no slouches. In fact, this is the hardest area in the game when it comes to combat. Also, I must mention that the city looks pretty cool with all its buildings and the black mountains and red sky. It looks pretty cool. And as for the boss, Kochamara, it's designed to be pretty much as cheesy as a superhero battle can get. But considering that this whole level is basically a parody off of monster movies, it would make sense that the battle looks like it was taken straight out of Power Rangers. In this battle, Kochamara will even scream out the name of his attack that he's using right before he uses it, just to make it look like your stereotypical superhero battle. In this battle, you're going to be relying on, guess what? The shield. Basically, he's invincible for most of the time, except when he lets his guard down. When he's in the air, you have to wait until he uses his deadly triangle beam and deflect it with your shield. And when he's on the ground, you need to wait for him to use his hard to avoid area attack by using your shield and then beating him up for the few seconds when he's vulnerable after it. In conclusion, this was a great mind. The boss was fun, and it felt like a parody off your classic monster movie. My only real gripe with this level is the fact that you're so slow, but it also kind of adds to it as it makes you feel like you're giant. Also, this felt like the first real mind in the game, because prior to this, the only minds in the game's aim were the tutorial levels and the brain tumbler experiment. Coach Oleander's basic braining is the first mind in psychonauts, and as you'd assume by the title, it's a tutorial level, the best tutorial level. Unlike the other tutorial levels when they were just, for one power, this is just the basics of the game and pretty much everything other than your powers, which I think is a lot better. Coach Oleander is your stereotype of a general, so his mind is like a war zone, a tutorial war zone. It basically teaches you all the basics of going into someone's mind. It doesn't give you any powers, but it does teach you the basics of going through someone's mind. You know, all the basics: jumping, sorting emotional baggage, collecting figments, cracking vaults, dusting mental cobwebs, all of that stuff. And you meet up with the other students who are in this class as well. And I think it's more effective than in Mia's dance party. Also, oh the this is just in general a very fun level and actually pretty atmospheric for a tutorial level. So, yep, that's pretty much what I have to say about it. And this should have been the only tutorial level. Alright, this is the point on the list where things start getting really good. It's Gloria's Theater, obviously the theater themed level. Basically, you have to get Bonita Soleil to perform. However, a mysterious being called the Phantom, who hates these plays, he hates them so much, decides to ruin it again for the how manyth time. I don't know how many times he's ruined it. The game never tells you. But anyway, yep, and that is what he tries to do. The first half of the chapter revolves around trying to get up to the catwalks, which can be used with a balloon that is used for one of the plays. But in order to do that, you need to get each play on the right set with the right mood, either happy or sad, with a total of 6 combinations. So until eventually you get the balloon set and head up to the second half of the chapter. These plays also serve to tell Gloria's story, which is the most tragic and complex of each of the stories. Basically, her mother was a great actress and sent her to a cruel acting school, which was Hagatha Home for Girls. And when Gloria eventually got back from there, she became a great star, even upstaging her mother at points. Her mother seemed to be jealous, so Gloria eventually left. Gloria ended up making it big, and she became a star. However, she once read it in a news article, and it turns out her mom had actually killed herself after her own daughter had left her and became a star. After this, Gloria had developed an immense stage fright that manifests itself in the form of Dexter the Angry Critic. Speaking of Dexter, he's actually my favorite villain in the game. He's so over the top and in your face about how much he hates the plays that it's just plain funny. For example, when Raz asks him why he watches the show despite the fact he hates it, he says that it's like a train wreck. It's terrible to watch, but at the same time you can't look away. The second half of the chapter is in the catwalks doing some admittedly difficult platforming to get to the Phantom. All the while he's constantly talking to you and like you're not welcome here and stuff. And as for the fight with Dexter, who plot twist was the Phantom all along, is nothing short of creative. You navigate what I assume is backstage as Dexter shoots put-downs at you both figuratively and literally. He will insult you by saying things like, the audience would have been disgusted had they managed to stay awake, and your fighting style is pathetic yet strangely irritating, and he uses his critic's booth to shoot typewriter shots at you without have negative words on them. You use levitation to fly up to the catwalks, put a candle in the spotlights, and light them with pyrokinesis to knock him down. And then you can shoot at him, but be warned, he'll send the actors from the bad mood to hurt you. If you have the ricocheting shot upgrade, then it makes this fight a lot easier. As the fight continues on, Dexter will destroy spotlights and send more actors from the bad plays who attack you. And in the end, while I don't have footage for it, basically, he Bonita gets to perform without the interruption of the Phantom, and Dexter is left shrinking for some odd reason, still screaming his lungs out, insulting everyone. My only real problem with this one is, unlike most of the mines in Thorny Towers Home for the Disturbed, I don't really feel that you got to know the character who it was actually in, unlike the later ones on this list where you actually do feel like you've gotten to know them. And that's all I really have to say.